I finally finished this book. I've been working on it since February. I got it for my birthday. It's called A Time for Mercy by Josh Grisham. This is my second Josh Grisham book, and it's similar in terms of style. Like, it's supposed to be fast paced, but it's quite detailed, and honestly, I struggled with finishing it in a timely manner. I just felt like he goes into so much detail, like sometimes it ends up being a complete detour and so unnecessary. This specific case was about a family, a mom and her two kids, teenagers, and the mom, she was kind of all over the place, had like a rough upbringing, and then ended up being in abusive relationships, and ended up dating this cop, Stuart, who was extremely abusive and would beat her up to a pulp and harass her kids constantly. But the story opens up with him beating her up to the point of her passing out. Her kids think she's dead. So her son reaches for Stuart's gun because Stuart was a cop and shoots him. And then the whole story is about Jake, who's the lawyer that's assigned to the case, and how he's going to prove innocence. Not necessarily innocence, because it's kind of well established that that the son is the killer, but it's more like how he navigates the case and how he builds the case. And then it ends up, spoiler alert, it ends up in a mistrial. But then they kind of petition this thing called, they do this habeas corpus petition, and that helps prove that he's being held unlawfully, kind of. But he essentially gets, or is going to get, another trial. They don't fully say the details, but that's kind of how it ends. But what ends up being so shocking in the story is that his sister was raped by Stuart multiple times, and then she gets pregnant, and so there's this like shocking moment in the story where the lawyer gets her on the stand, and no one knew she was pregnant until she approaches the stand, and they see and they realize what had happened. And so that was interesting. In general, like, the things I didn't like about the book was that, one, the level of detail. Like, I feel like there's certain detours that were unnecessary that made it really hard to keep up. But also, the other thing I didn't like is that there were certain parts where you could tell it was written by a man. Like, the way that he approaches the topic of rape, he almost glosses over it. And he depicts this exchange between mother and daughter around the rape in such a quick way. So those are the things I did not like about the book. But I'm glad to be done and on to the next one.